But
Oh.
there we are.
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome, y'all. I am Briar Harvey. This is the Neurodiversity Media Network. Today, we are creating your connection capital with the delightful Alice Miriam. And we are talking about momentum. So, there are 2 episodes in this series. If you have not caught them, feel free to go back. Today, we're going to be talking about like how you know when you've hit momentum and what to do when it happens so you don't freak the fuck out, have an autistic meltdown, and hide in the closet for 3 weeks because holy shit, momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah, because it can, if it catches you off guard and you're not able to handle it, then we talked about this last week. What happens? Like you're pushing the boulder up the hill and you freak out, then you drop it, and then you've lost your momentum. So we don't want that to happen. And we also don't want you to miss opportunities that come along when you're in the middle of momentum. As you're building momentum, opportunities are going to happen that allow you to build even greater momentum, right? And you'll start to see that happen. Like that's one of the signs that you're in momentum, is when opportunities, not every opportunity is going to be for you. Okay, let's just be clear about that.
That is a fact.
You have to be the decision maker on which opportunities are right for you and which ones are not right for you, which one's taking you off in a direction you don't want to go. But that is one of the signs that you're building momentum, is that opportunities keep presenting themselves to you. That's one of the clear signs, and you don't want to miss out on that. And you do want to be, what's the word I'm looking for? You want to discriminate for opportunities, right? You want to be very
Discerning. I'm almost
discerning.
positive
That's
that's
a
the
better,
word you're looking
yes,
for.
there you go. Discerning. I lose words, y'all. I lose them. They just go. You want to be discerning when it comes to which of these opportunities you're going to take advantage of, for sure. It's a big deal.
So let's talk about what it feels like, first of all. How can you tell when all of the work that you have done to build momentum is actually getting you where you're going? It's the if we were a plane, it's that moment of liftoff, right? Where you can feel yourself thrown back in your chair and it's the push. What does that feel like in business terms?
Well, I know we hate this, but it does depend.
It depends.
Yeah.
And continue.
It kind of depends, because everybody's different. Like how you view and how you feel things is going to be different than how I do. So, um, for me, it feels like energy. For me, it feels like something's fueling my energy. Like I get more energetic. I feel more excited, because it feels like there's activity. It's an energy thing for me. So I don't know. What does it feel like for you, Briar?
Um, Kismet is the word that's coming to
Mm.
mind for me. It's when I know things are working when I have unexpected opportunities that just kind of fall in my lap.
Mhm.
When I meet people, like you are the person that I have been needing to meet. When I feel like things are coming with ease. And truly, it's the ease part because the
Mm.
building of momentum for me feels like a slog.
Yep.
It's stuff that I really have to remind myself, at the end of this, there will be a reward. And then
Mm-hmm.
suddenly there
Rewards.
is.
Like, oh,
Right,
treat. Ooh,
right.
yay.
Suddenly all the things that I was doing before that were hard now feel easy, and it's expansive.
Mhm.
There's this grace around all of those activities, and suddenly I have more time, and you're right, more energy. It's
Yeah.
definitely energetic.
Yeah, yeah, you do. You have that energy about you because, and I like that you called it like the reward, because that is what it feels like. It feels like that hard work is starting to pay off. It feels like a reward. And there is a sense of peace and ease that come along with it. And we've talked about this before. When you're building momentum, it is hard. Like, we use the analogies of pushing a boulder up a hill, or getting that, on the swing, and really like having to thrust your body into it to get moving, to get that momentum going. And those things can be challenging for people, especially when you're in that neurodivergent area and you struggle with that. You struggle with just getting started, let alone building momentum. That feels like a pipe dream, right? But the more that you do it, the easier it does get for you. And not because it becomes easy, right? Lifting a 100-pound weight, or, whatever, like the first couple of times you do it is hard, but the more muscle you build up for it, the easier that thing is to lift up. Not because that thing weighs any less, right? You've just built up your tolerance and your muscle for that. And now for you, that's easy. Whereas someone new coming along that's never lifted a 100-pound weight before is going to go to pick that up, and they're going to struggle. And they're going to struggle until they've picked it up enough times that they too have built up that muscle, to be able to carry that with more ease. And that's really what happens. It's just learning and growing through the process, and then finding the ease in that, finding the ease in having grown with that.
And I think this is where we end up really stuck, right? Because the capitalistic mindset around ease is that it is lazy.
Yeah.
And the orgasmic pussy coach mindset around ease is that if it's not, you're doing it wrong. So, like, ease is something that we have a lot of conflict
Yeah.
around, not
Mhm.
just externally, but internally too. And if you are neurodivergent, ease is dangerous potentially, because if it feels easy, there is often a lot of inner critic stuff that goes around, well, I should be excelling faster, then I should be doing more things. If this is easy, why is taking a shower so hard, right?
Hmm.
So ease carries a lot of baggage to
It
it.
does. It does.
How do we start reframing that?
Yeah, that's definitely a mindset. That's definitely a belief system. Where we all have deeply embedded belief systems that we're not even aware of, and they were given to us, from early childhood. All the people that were in charge of our lives, when your parents told you money didn't grow on trees, that became like a mindset, that became a belief system you started to carry around with you. Nothing comes easy. You have to work hard. If you're not working hard, if it's not if you don't work hard to get it, then it's not worth having. Or, all of these things, like our teachers and coaches and parents put on us. These are all things that we carry with us in their belief systems that we have. And so one of the things I did a few years ago, actually, and it helped me a lot, is I really started to write down some of these things, that I knew my parents always said to me, because there's stuff that your parents always said to you, or your coach, or your teachers, or whoever. And then I try to look at how that thing showed up in my life. Like, how does this money doesn't grow on trees? How do, how have I proved that to myself? How have I been holding on to that belief? And then really looking at that and being able to say, okay, I can let go of this because here is my new belief about money. And we have a mutual friend, uh, Biba, who is also on the uh, has a podcast with you, Briar.
Yes.
Um, and she does these amazing affirmations, and those kind of things can be really to change the way you think about ease, about work, about money, about all of these things. You really have to take a look at where they came from first, how they've been showing up in your life, and then do a reframe for yourself. Define it for yourself and carry a new belief about it. And like the affirmations that Biba works with, they can be very, very helpful in helping you reframe in your head how you look at those things.
That is the dynamic affirmation method. You
Yep.
can find Biba's show here on MNN, and we will link to those affirmations in the show notes. I think that is it. It is mindset, and it's also boundaries.
Mm,
So let's talk about that.
yeah. So I am I'm better at boundaries. Let's believe there. I'm better at boundaries now than I used to be. Um, Especially for folks who are neurodivergent, which I am, very much so. There's a lot around, it's hard to sometimes say no, um,
Mhm.
because guilt, like, well, why not? Well, like there's just all of this stuff. And not just guilt, but for a long time for me, it was like, I want people to like me. And in order for them to like me, I have to say yes. Right? Because if I don't, then I'm a bad person. If
Yeah,
I'm
that
not doing all of these
RSD.
things, right?
That's a
Oh my
real
gosh.
bitch, y'all.
You know what? Just knowing what that was gave me so much relief that I cannot even tell you. Like, I can't even tell you like knowing that that was a thing. And I didn't learn and know that was a thing until I was in my dang 40s.
Mhm.
Okay. Like, so my whole life up until that point, I struggled with that. But it really can weigh you down. Just knowing and learning what the RSD is, and being able to look at where it shows up and why, and what what your trigger or your fear around that thing is, so that you can start making those changes, because it's not going to do you any good. I can tell you right now that saying yes all the time and being a people pleaser and doing all those things, none of that brought me or any of the other people in my life any real joy or happiness or success. Never did.
Never.
Never did, until I started to sit down and look at, what are my priorities? What do I value myself? Right? Okay, I have my family. How do I value my family? How do I show that I value my family in my everyday life and actions? What does that look like on a daily basis? How do I show that this business that I'm building, is a value to me? Right? Why is it a value to me? Because I have the flexibility to be available for my children, because they're my number one priority. I also have the income to provide a good life for them, right? Put a roof over their head, feed them, right? This is why it's important. This is why I value it. Now, how do I show that every day? And does saying yes to this thing over here and doing this thing over here, does this support that value or not? If it does not support that value, then I can say no and release it comfortably, right? That does not work for me.
And let's be clear, boundaries increase your momentum,
Yeah,
because if you do not have them, you are not putting your full energy into whatever the thing
correct.
is that you're trying to grow.
You're spreading yourself too thin and you're going to have burnout. If you can't have 20 values that you're putting your time and energy into. No, 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 no. You can have, I would say you can have a top 5 and then maybe
Mhm.
some lower, a couple of other lower whatever
Low
ones.
hanging fruit, yes.
Yes, low, yeah. Sorry, little freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can have a
Alice
couple of low
has
hanging fruit.
Alice has weather, Mercury is in the microwave, all of these things. So we're just going to proceed as if those are just temporary glitches. And I'm just going to sit here and continue to nod, and it'll be
Mhm.
fine. It'll be
Yes.
fine.
That's what we do. We just nod and smile. Yes, yes, yes. Um Oh boy. Yes. Yeah, the low-hanging fruit. And never feel bad or guilty about your values. Every person has their own set of values, and your values and somebody else's values just may not be a match, and that's okay. Every person is allowed to have their own values, and their values may be to ask you to do this thing that's not within your value, and it's okay for them to ask that, and it's okay for you to say no.
You know, I think we get to choose the people who come along with us on these journeys because their values match up with ours.
Mhm.
And it is uncomfortable, but if we find a misalignment of values, these are people that we need to, right, see less of, perhaps, let go of entirely, perhaps, create boundaries around what we will communicate about, perhaps. There
Oh,
are,
that's a good one. That's a good one, because there are definitely people that I like having in my life for a specific reason. But there are things I don't wanna talk to them about. It's not worth it. You can't have that
Mhm,
conversation with them, so don't talk about this thing, but we can talk about this thing. That's a
mhm.
good one. Yeah.
And this is important to really figure out before you hit that point of momentum shift, because once you do, let's talk about that, Alice. What happens when momentum happens?
Momentum happens, and if you're prepared for it, then it, things are going to start picking up pace for you. Like, things are going to happen more quickly. If you're not prepared for it, think of it like, juggling and like throwing everything in the air, and everything is just swirling all around you and like hitting the floor and crack, crack, crack. Like, it's a mess, it's chaos if you're not prepared for it. If you don't have your boundaries in place, if you have not worked on those beliefs and those mindset things that you have, uh i- it's going to be overwhelming. Like, and all of us in the neurodivergent realm understand what overwhelming means. And I mean epically overwhelming, and things will come crashing down around you. Like, that's just what will happen.
Systems and foundations, and no one wants to hear that. But in
No.
fact, these are the things that we build and implement before we hit momentum, so that once we have it, because I think you're right, it's very much like having things come at you at a much faster clip.
Yeah.
There So we launched the Neurodiversity Media Network in January. It is now almost May. We are growing daily. We are starting to sell ad placements. Like everything is happening much, much faster. There are days when between recording and just the output of my work, that when I go to bed, my brain is so full, so mentally exhausted because everything is happening so fast. And I want to be clear, this is not a universal experience, but the way that information and the way that technology is progressing, for most of you, this is the way it's going to happen. It will just happen. It will be the thing that was happening before, just 10 times faster
Faster and more.
and more. So it's really about having capacity to catch all of that. How do we build that capacity?
Oh, well, I mean, you said it. People don't want to hear it, but you are putting in place those systems and those processes for yourself, um, to add in the ease and feel good about adding in the ease. Like when something I set up, a system I set up, or a process I set up starts to work, right? And I can see it handling things for me. I'm like, damn, I'm good. Like it just like my
Right.
insides fill up with like, my ego is so proud of me,
Oh,
you know?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm just like, damn, I'm good. Like it's a great feeling. And when we're talking about systems and processes, some of, for those who are not very technically minded, because I know quite a few um neurodivergent folks where technology is just like, oh, I don't know. But here's the thing: small things, small pieces, small things, like start with the things that are the easiest for you to use, that you understand the most. So the first thing I started with when I started using technology to be just a little bit more efficient in my life and to remind me of things that I was forgetting, I used my alarms on my phone. Like I didn't use my calendar. I could fill up a calendar and have calendar reminders popping in every day and still be like, whatever. But I have a reminder, hey, go get your kid from school. Right. And it would go off because there we are. I would be tunnel visioned and hyper focused on something and lose all track of time. That's part of my neurodivergence. Now, if you don't have a time blindness issue, then maybe you don't need alarms. Maybe it's something else for you, right? So that's how you start. You look at what is the thing that you feel like is the heaviest to you right now? Is it the time? Is it is it your inbox and your email? Is it like, what is the thing that's the heaviest burden to you right now, that feels like the most overwhelming thing? And hyper focus yourself on figuring out how to manage that and get something set up that will make it easier for you going forward. Find that worst overwhelming thing for you.
And I think that when things are coming fast, you're going to know it's broken. You're
Yeah.
going to be able to tell that this part of the whatever is not working.
Yeah.
How do we fix stuff on the fly, Alice?
Mm. That depends too. Depends on what it is. Um, so, well, first of all, when we say fix things on the fly, fixing things in the moment requires you to take a pause, take a beat. Fixing it on the fly doesn't mean knee jerk reaction. Okay, that's number one. Because if you do have a knee jerk reaction, chances are the thing that you do isn't actually going to fix it. It's probably going to make it worse. And I say that from personal experience.
Marisa says fixing stuff on the fly is and that is
Yes.
exactly correct. However, sometimes we don't know what we don't know. We don't know
Yeah.
what we've missed until it's flying at us. So, yeah, take a breath, take
Yeah.
a walk, eat a sandwich,
Right.
take a nap.
Yep.
All of these things are not fixing, but in fact, that's what we're working towards. You don't fix anything on the fly by reacting immediately. You fix things on the fly by pausing and then assessing.
Right. And utilize your networks, have friends, have a backup system, right? Like my backup, my whole system is the catalyst. If I didn't have the catalyst community, if I didn't have Marisa, like everything would fall apart. Like that's my survival kit really in my business, is that community. So find yourself something like that. Find yourself a biz bestie, whatever it is that you need, so that when you take that pause, you can get that. How do I want to say this? You can get more of it, because your response to things breaking in the moment is going to be incredibly emotional, right? And you need a detached point of view from that emotion. And it's almost impossible for you to give that to yourself. So you need someone else to be able to give that to you. And I think that's really a very important piece of fixing anything on the fly, because on the fly broken things are emotional.
Yes. I I think that that is the crux of it. When we fix things too fast, there is a lot of emotion around it. So, how are we removing the emotion from the process? And truly, y'all, that's other people. You don't do that by yourself. You do that with your support team.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also do that with your people, but with your systems and processes, right? Because your systems and processes are not emotional, right? You can be emotional about them if you want to be, but if you've had them set up and prepared in advance, then you're helping take the emotion out of that for yourself.
Well, and that's what the meltdown at the top is, right? When we when momentum happens and we get overwhelmed, it's because there's too many feelings about all of these things. And we didn't take the time to feel our feelings first. Okay,
And we can feel our feelings without reacting to them.
that is important.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Just so you know, you can do that. I do that a lot. It's hard. Like, it's hard to feel feelings and then not react to them. Like, just accept them. Yep, this is how I feel. This is where I'm at. I've been doing quite a bit of that lately, actually. Don't do anything. I literally just, in order not to do anything, I have to say to myself, Alice, don't do anything. And then I have to repeat that to myself. Don't do anything.
Right, because we come back to that point about laziness. The lack of doing something while we're feeling our feelings has been trained in us to be counterproductive. That's bad. That taking time to feel your feelings is bad and you must immediately respond. And I don't know that we do that deliberately, but certainly that is what society at large has trained us to think about our feelings.
Right. Well, and when we're in the middle of emotional response, right? Sometimes it's like the flight or fight or whatever, like that can come up, right? And, you may want to fight. You may want to have that instant, like you may want to do something right this second because it feels like you have to, because those emotions are making you feel like this is so urgent right now. But if you take a breath and get some perspective from someone that doesn't have the emotion, right? And if you trust this person, if you trust this person, if it's is like, oh no, we need to something has to happen right now. If they come at it from that perspective, then okay, then it is like this is important. If they say, then you could be like, oh, right? But it has to be somebody that you really trust with that, because if it's just some random Joe in line at the grocery store, chances are you're not going to take what they have to say as seriously and be able to believe in it as you would trusted to you. That's important. And, write yourself some post-it notes that say stop. Pause.
Well, urgency is related to laziness, right? The need to be constantly doing, acting, and reacting is a piece of societal programming that most of us aren't even aware of. But truly,
Mhm.
the only things in life that are urgent are in the kitchen and possibly cat vomit, right? Maybe vomit in general,
In
that's
general,
kind
I
of
have yeah.
urgent, right? But but but
Mhm.
overall, unless it's cooking, unless
Having
it's
a full
time,
bladder,
but
full
right,
bladder, that's some
maybe
urgency.
that's urgent. Most things are not urgent. Business almost never is.
Never.
Online business almost never. Like truly, I can't even think of examples where online business is urgent, because it's not. It's all going to be here tomorrow and the next day and the day after that.
Mhm. Yep.
Urgency is a lie told to us to increase our productivity. But productivity isn't related
Keep
to
running on
momentum.
that wheel. Keep
Right.
going.
Productivity isn't related to momentum, because running on that wheel doesn't actually get you momentum.
Or anywhere.
No, no.
It
S-
actually is to your momentum to run on the hamster wheel. The more running in place you do, the further away you actually get from momentum.
Hmm. That's really important, I think.
Mhm.
So, how do we, especially as we're lifting off, how do we figure out what's momentum building and what's just chasing our tail?
Oh god, this goes back to like our first podcast ever, Briar, from like 2 years ago. Did we do one on setting goals
Oh,
and the
wow.
work back plan? Remember that? That was a
Wow.
couple
Good
years
Lord.
ago.
We've been
Yeah,
we've been doing this too long,
we
Alex.
we have, we have. You have to work back. You have to look at what is your goal here for your business, and when are you going to achieve it, and what are the steps you need to take, because there's a lot of busy work in day to day, especially online business. A lot of busy work, a lot of that running on the dang hamster wheel, right? Um, a lot of thinking and planning without actually doing, right? There's a lot of that. So you need to have a list of activities that are growth, momentum, income producing activities that you will work on, whether that's every day or every week, however, whatever feels right for you, to set that up like. You have to have that list so that you know you're progressing towards that. And in between there, I promise you, you will have plenty of hamster wheel running that you can do. There will be plenty of busy work in between all of that stuff. But as long as you have your list of those activities that you know are moving you forward and you're consistently putting your energy into those, they still will help you build momentum even in between some of your busy work, because you're still going to do it. I do it all the freaking time to myself. I love me some busy work. Squirrel. Woo! Woo!
And I think what's key here is being able to apply
Woo! Like in
being
bed.
able to apply Pareto principles and figuring out what the 80-20 is. What is the 20% of your activity that drives that 80% of momentum? The
Yep.
more you have clarity around those specific activities, the easier it becomes to drive momentum.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the less, I mean, you'll still do busy work, you'll still have that. We all do, but it'll get less and less. You'll lessen your busy work.
Okay, so we have momentum. All of the things are coming at us. In addition to being able to catch those things, there now needs to be an increased focus on self-care. Let's talk about that.
Not only does there need to be, but that's another sign that you're in momentum. For me, another sign that I'm in momentum is that I want to take care of myself.
Ooh.
Um, because I am feeling good, because I have that energy, because those opportunities, things are starting to happen. And when that happens, I feel good about myself. And when I feel good about myself, I want to take better care of myself. So that is, for me, that's a sign that I'm in that momentum, that I feel successful in what I'm doing. Right. So I do feel that way. And yeah, and then self-care, I mean, that's whatever it is for you. Like I just told prior, I just spent oop, did you hear that part about smelly body
No,
care stuff? No.
no. I mean, I did. I heard all about the smelly body care earlier. Watermelon flavor, y'all, just in
Yeah.
case you were
Just in
curious.
case. Watermelon sugar. But that's what some of the self-care looks like to me, but for everybody that's going to be different, right? Getting my nails done, or maybe meditation. I started working out. That feels good to me, the exercising. um so just certain things, I started taking better care of myself. I started eating better, drinking more water, right?
So Marisa says, so I am supposed to want to take care of myself? And
It's a good point.
that is a good point. Um, I think for you, it's a sign that things are going well and that you feel better and that you want to take care of yourself.
Right.
For a lot of people, it has the opposite effect. I have all of this momentum. I have all of these things that I am doing. I am so overwhelmed that self care is the first thing to go.
To go. Yeah,
So,
it's true.
how do we find ways to prioritize that?
Well, you go back to what we were talking about at the beginning. What are your values, right? What are your priorities? And what those list of activities that you're doing for your business, for the momentum, do the same thing for your self care. Make a list. What are you going to do for your self-care every week or day or whatever that looks like? And it doesn't have to be epic, right? Self-care could be a 2-minute pause to do an affirmation if that's what you need to do, right? It could be brushing your teeth that day if that's what you need to do. So, whatever it is, at whatever level you're at, whatever feels doable for you, you put that on the dang list and then you make it happen.
It's especially important, I think, that we talk about how momentum can, in fact, increase executive dysfunction, that the more things coming at us, the harder it is to plan and really make space for those things. So, truly figuring out where you are, what your values are, how to build space in for those things is absolutely essential. What do we do, Alice, when momentum starts to feel painful or bad?
Oh, well, you do have to do a pause on that, and you have to figure out why it feels painful and bad. Was this the wrong goal for you? And you're finding that out during your momentum phase? Um, is it fear? Are you afraid of the success? Is it the right thing? But now you're like, oh crap, this is happening, right? Like, what's the reason it feels bad? You have to figure that out in order to make a decision, right? Because if it's that this is not the right path for you, then, it's time to pivot. It's time to make a change. If it is the right path for you, but that fear is kicking up because you have that fear of success, then you have a little bit of work to do on yourself and what that success will mean for you, and having support systems in place to help you with that, that's going to be pretty important.
Yeah, we come back to the support piece again here because if momentum feels bad, the first thing I want to do is check in with my people and go, why? Why does this suddenly feel bad to me? Because, especially, I think if you are on the autistic end of neurodiversity, our emotions do not always, we're not great at naming them. We're not great at understanding nuance of emotion. And I really find it valuable to be able to get that feedback from people. Oh, this is the thing that I am feeling. This is what it is called. And this is why it is happening. So I, uh, not that this whole hour was, in fact, sponsored by the Catalyst, but
I
since we've talked about it a lot,
know.
I would like to invite you all to Marisa Lowen's Catalyst. If you would like more information, you can find it at my affiliate link, briarharvey.com/catalyst. Because those people are, for me and for Alice, absolutely foundational in being able to assess where I'm at, how I'm feeling, and what I need to do next.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not only that, but they're also essential in being able to take a break and have a fun and interesting conversation about something that has nothing to do with business, because my brain just needs a dang break, right? Like, I have lots of fun and laughs in the workroom as well as work. Like, it's an everything place.
It truly, truly is,
Hmm.
y'all.
Yeah.
I think the thing about momentum, and we've talked about this whole series, is that it takes time.
Hmm.
So as you are building it, as it's working even, what are your definitions of success? And sometimes it helps to have other people look at that for you. Sometimes it helps to have a profit plan.
Yeah.
Sometimes it
Oh.
just helps to know what you're after. And if you don't know, ask for help. Hey, we have a show about that too.
Mm.
Amazing.
I know. Synchronicity right there.
Right there. All
Hmm.
right. Alice, what are we covering next time?
Oh, that's a great question. Which episode are we on? Is,
I
is this
think
the
this is 3 of momentum.
I thought it was 4. I thought this was the last one. That's interesting. Let me look at our thingamabob.
Nope, this is 3. We're supposed to have another one here. I believe 100% that you have notes about this, Alice.
I know. I'm going into them right now.
Mhm.
um. We did understanding, tracking. Did we do myths?
Oh, we did not do myths.
Okay.
Myths about momentum. And good God, there are a lot of them.
There's many
Hmm.
myths about momentum and honestly business and online, all the stuff. There's so many things,
Hmm.
so many. So we
And
can talk about it.
it's important to understand what feels right for you is not going to feel universally right for everyone else.
Um,
So, especially when we're talking about myths, take it or leave it, right? If it works, great. If it doesn't, throw it away. We will be back theoretically in 2 weeks. It is the rainy season in Florida, y'all. So, like, we're playing it all by ear
yeah.
right now. But 2 weeks to talk about mess. This has been another incredible conversation. Thank you, Alice.
Thank you, Briar. I always love chatting with you.
I know, it's
Like,
so
these
fun.
are the kind of conversations I could do. Like, if it was this easy to do a podcast with anybody, I would do it every day. I would just
Every day,
let's just sit down and chat. Let's do it. Let's have a
all
talk.
day, every day, baby.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what the Neurodiversity Media Network is for.
yeah,
If you have not yet subscribed, hop on over to neurodiversitymedianetwork.com. Paid subscribers get a couple of additional private streams. And when each course is over, we also build out a curricula page so that you've got all of the lessons in one place. We've got all of the resources, if there were any. We've got places for you to go and learn about additional things, and we will do this together. Thank you all so much for being here. Once again, this episode absolutely was not sponsored by The Catalyst, but if you're interested in joining us, you can find it at briarharvey.com/catalyst, and we will see you all again next time. Have an amazing day, y'all.